Back here at the American Hat Store, the best hat store in Fort Worth, Texas, and we're going to go through some things about what it takes to buy a quality hat, get it creased, get your shape and everything. And we got my good friend Scott Quinn going to step in here with us a minute. But first of all, I want to introduce a friend of mine, and he really isn't a friend. He's like my son. This is Andy Henson, and this is Mary Walker's personal bodyguard.
Personal bodyguard.
If you want to mess with Mary Walker, you got to go through Andy Henson. And that really is not a joke. She took me, how long did you take Mary on the road? 3 years? 4 years?
Two and a half.
2.5 years,
and then on and off, going to Canada.
Brought her home from the Canadian finals and changed flats on the road and watered and fed old latte. And he's done it all for us. In fact, we wouldn't have been able to go down the road a lot of times if it hadn't been for Andy. But Andy now has found his calling, and he really likes working over here with the American Hat people. Have you been in the hat business for helping these guys out now? How long in Vegas?
8. This will be the 8th NFR.
8th NFR. Cool. I didn't realize that time flies, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to move on. Scott, if you would, step in here just a minute. This is a good friend of mine, Scott Quinn. Have a seat right there. I'm going to let you, Andy, you go through the process here of what it takes to buy a quality hat and explain what kind of hat he has bought and what we're going to do to it.
Okay. So what it takes to buy a quality hat, I mean, really quality is going to depend on you, like what you think you need or what you feel like is the best for you. What we got here is one of our top of the line hats here. It's a 500x white. It's 100% beaver belly. Softest part on a beaver. It's great. I mean, I would, everybody's different, but I would work hard in one of these. I mean, the better fur you can get in a hat, the better and harder you can be on it. So that's quality's really where it's at. You got to have good quality hat to last you a long time.
And with that being said, Scott wears a hat every day. He gets up every day, and I've never seen Scott that you don't have a hat on. So this hat right here, he picked the very best quality mink hat y'all have, right? I mean, beaver hat.
Beaver, yeah.
Beaver hats, okay. All right, well, let's go through the process.
Yeah. And so what we specialize in here, a lot of other places do it too, but what we like to do is we're custom hat shaping. So this is an open crown, open brim hat. And so we really like the customer to be here so we can put a center line on it to make sure it's straight on you and not anybody else. It's going to be perfect on you. So I'll have you put this on, Scott.
Let me hold that one for you, Scott. All righty.
So we'll get that center line on there.
Okay, turn around here and show the camera what he's just done. So that's lined up with his nose, and he's going to go from that and go forward. You got that, Evan? Okay. All right, give it back to Andy.
And so Scott generally shapes all his hats the same.
The same, yeah.
So pretty much what he's got on, we're going to do here on this felt.
And that's kind of called a cattleman.
And that's called a cattleman. Man, the brim can be kind of a J. I'd say a J, but the sides are stood up a little bit more. Just kind of that typical team roper look, just cowboy.
There you go.
So a lot of people think that because they're stiff, whatever, there's cardboard in them. It's not. It's 100% fur all the way through it.
And what are you doing right there with the steam?
So steaming, it's going to soften it and kind of let it relax till we get that shape in it, and then as it cools down, it gets harder.
You sure you don't want me to cut it off?
I'm begging him not to. Scott normally wears from a 3.5-inch brim. We've kind of moved him up into the 20th century here and going with the 4-inch. We can always cut it off, and he may be back later and cut it off. I'm not so sure he won't, but we're going to try him with the 4-inch. This is kind of as a favor to me. So he's really, he wore a 3.5-inch whole time. It'll take a little getting used to, but he's been wearing 4 inches on your straws.
Straws are good. No, I think it'd be fun.
You know,
I check these ears anyway.
And typically with these more pure beaver hats, you got to work them a little bit more because the fibers are so tight that it'll take a little bit more, not necessarily more steam, just more working it a little bit.
Of course, I would recommend here that Scott's nickname is Boy Scout, and he absolutely would have to wear a white hat because, you know, all the good guys like the Dodge boys wear white hats.
That's accurate.
That's accurate. I've got a white hat, but I don't wear it very much. Just to weddings. Boy, that is a good hat, isn't it? I can tell by the way it's falling in there good, isn't it, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, with these being 100% natural beaver that's in this, there's nothing added to it. No two of them are really the same. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of difference in every one of them because no two beavers are the same.
Right.
And also, too, probably Andy, a white hat's the hardest one to crease because it's keep it from getting dirty.
Yeah. A lot.
How many of these hats you shape a day out there at Vegas during the finals, Andy?
Man, during Vegas, we counted 1 year, and we averaged about, this would have been 2019, we averaged about 55 hats per shaper, and we take 5 shapers. And actually, 2019, we took 6 shapers. So 50, this is 50 hats a guy. New hats. That's not counting the people walking by and asking us to freshen them up, you know, because they just got into town. So I think probably average, we probably touch 75 hats a day in Vegas.
And you're there from what, 10 to?
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah. It's getting it.
As good of friends as me and Andy are, when we go to Vegas, I never go by the hat deal to visit with him because he's absolutely, all these guys are working their tail off, just they don't have time to visit.
And so every hat shaper has their own ways of getting them started. You know, Danny does them one way, Ryan does them one way, I do them one way. But the end result is, you know, it's phenomenal. It don't matter who you go to here, anybody comes in here, you're gonna get a good hat shape.
I've been in here 10 years before I'd ever let anybody shape my hat. I'd shape them myself, but I kind of trust you guys now. You know, I've been watching you.
Yeah, this is a good one.
And when this steam goes down, he'll cool it off, and we'll put that hat on Scott's head, and he'll wear that around here for a while. And that inside band is made out of lambskin. It will conform to his head, and it'll fit just perfect. In fact, this hat right here was especially made for him with that hat machine to really be.
What's that thing called?
It's called a conformer. A lot of custom hat guys use it. They kind of get a shape of your head.
I mean,
and then,
it was an old piece of equipment.
Very old.
Been around a long time. Because nobody's hands around.
Right. It does come out when the card punches your head shape. It is, you would never think your head's shaped that way.
So what do y'all do with that?
So it's poked holes in a card, like an index card. That goes up there, and they have a machine that they set that in, right? And it puts all its little needles in all those holes, and it moves out a bunch of little fingers, right? And they'll set it on there hot and let it just conform to that. So it's on your head.
Right.
Did you put that on before, Tom? And it was the best feeling hat you ever felt?
Yeah, I mean, once it gets mashed in, but yeah.
No, I'm talking about this hat.
Yeah, it feels good. It needs to be, it needs to be mashed in, but I mean, it fits my head.
Good. I've never had it done. I wear a 7 3/8 drummed, and when they started doing that, that was a perfect fit for my head. But Mary's got a messed up head that long, and when they did that, her hat's she's never got a hat found. Her hat is never blown off running barrels, so it just fits down. She pulls her down, and she never loses it. And if a hat fits right, you don't have to pull it down over your ears like that to keep it blowing off. You just put it on at a comfortable deal, and without just a humongous wind or something, it was not going to blow off your head. That's a good-looking hat, Scott. And Scott give a lot of money for this hat. I know that. But this hat lasts him, with you not being so rough on him and not cowboying a lot and stuff, it'll probably last you 4 or 5 years, huh? How long did that other one last you?
It's probably lasted 8 or more.
So, I mean, I would recommend getting the best quality hat you can for the money. I mean, I understand everything's got a price point, but there's a reason they cost more. It's not just because they're better. I mean, the more you spend, the better you get. But if you're going to wear that hat and use it, I would recommend getting the 500X every time. However, if you don't wear a hat once or twice a year, maybe not buy that much, because it really won't matter, because you're never going to wear the other hat out anyway. I think he's got your crease down pretty good.
Maybe we won't cut it off.
It's looked pretty good.
All right. I think we're there.
All right, here's the first chance, and it's never going to work the first time. He's going to put it on. Scott's going to look in the mirror. They're going to look at each other.
Might want to change something.
And they'll square it up. But Andy's going to dust her off there. Take your mark off the center, or do you leave it on there?
I'll take it off.
Here goes the deal. Let's see what we got.
Try that.
That's it. And I don't.
Turn around here for the camera real quick. What does it look like there? You look in the mirror there. You think you got it?
And stand them up a little more right there in the front.
Man, I don't know.
That looks pretty good.
You keep doing that, so you feel like you kind of want to stand them up a little bit right there.
I think I think I'm okay with that. I mean,
Cool. Looks good.
Fit better?
yeah, it fits real good.
You ever had a hat fit that good?
No, it fits.
That's amazing. Mary said that I've not had it done, but
I don't. Other than maybe squaring it up, but I don't.
A little sharper?
No, I think it's good. No, let's leave it just like it is. Because if it's like this now over time, me picking on it and doing it, it'll move.
Just character.
I always say that it takes 2 national anthems to fix your hat. You got to take your hat off for the national anthem. While you're taking your hat off, you usually crease on it a little bit and then put it back on his head.
I think that's good. I'm satisfied with that. That looks good.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, why don't you put it on and let's steam it up a little bit. Let him put it on and wear it, because that's a trick that I like to do. And then that way it'll really conform down, the band inside, Andy.
I will.
And then he'll put it on. It'll stay there when it gets cold, and it'll be just absolutely. And Scott's got his name put on the inside of that hat, so nobody will steal it. They used to have a deal at Gary's American Hat said, like hell it's yours, this hat belongs to Scott Quinn.
Yep, that looks good.
Looks very good.
Perfect.
All right. Let's turn around and let's thank Andy for the deal. Look at him, Scott. Shoot.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yes, sir.
There we go.